In this segment, I'm going to describe how to use the Axiom properties module. So let's go ahead and go to File and see this drop-down box, and I'm going to go down to Axiom properties, which can also be accessed by the shortcut Control P. And now, so in this tab, we see we can edit the grid color, we can edit the main grid's color, we can change the size of pixels, and also we can change the size of the laser center. And I'm going to demonstrate all of those. First, I'm going to show you that you can get a legacy data copy. What this does is gives you an older version of the TDMS file if you like it. So now back to this. So what I'm going to do first is I'm going to put a grid down. So let's put, for example, purposes, I'm going to put a 5x5 grid down. And so I'm going to put a spot there, and just create. So now I have 25 spots. I'm going to go ahead and take the grid numbering off so that we can see this better. Actually, and so what I'm going to do is I'm going to make this total horizontal 1 millimeter and the total vertical 1 millimeter as well. And now we can get most of it in there. Almost all of it. There we go. So now all of those are in there. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go back into the Axiom properties module. Okay. And first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to change the grid size in pixels. Okay. So I'm going to change the grid size. What this does is it changes these spot sizes. Okay. So I'm going to change this to 5 and hit OK. And now you see these points become much smaller. So if you want them to be more visible, you can make them bigger. So I'm going to go back, Axiom properties, and I'm going to change the grid sizes back to 15, the spot sizes back to 15, and I'm also going to change this edit grid color because I'm on a blue sample and I've got a light blue color for the edit grid. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to change these to something that'll really show up like this yellow, or this, actually let's make them orange. So now my edit grid color I've changed to orange. So let's go ahead and click OK, and now what we see is we have much larger spots and they're much more visible because they are orange. Now I'm going to also change my other pattern, so the main grid's color. So let's do this. I'm going to now add a second pattern. So let's cancel this, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a pattern. So adding a pattern. So now you see this went to blue. Okay, so the edit color is orange, so this is now not the edit pattern. If I put a spot down now, and now you see that I have orange is the other color. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go ahead and create a pattern here. And now I have another 5x5 grid, and I like the orange color, but the dark blue doesn't show up that great. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go to Axiom properties, and I'm going to edit my main grid's color, and I'm going to change that to something that's going to stand out a little bit better, maybe red. And let's see what that looks like. And that actually looks pretty good. So I like the red and I like the orange. It shows up nicely on this blue sample. Now, let's clear those, and we'll look at the other thing we can do with the Axiom properties setting is what we can also adjust is the size of this target. So right now this target is set to be 379 microns, so micrometers. So this is the size in millimeters, 0.03, so it's basically 0.038. What I'm going to do is I'm going to change this now to 100 microns. Okay, so you see now that changed that to a 100 micron spot. Let's look at the measuring tool. We'll measure that and see how close to 100 microns it actually is, and it should be pretty close. It's probably good. Yeah, it's close. My clicking might not be the greatest as well, so it looks like it's close enough. So let's go ahead and take that off of there. And so this is useful for something like this, where I'm going to go ahead. I'm just going to fire in place for 20 shots. okay, at the under these conditions. And let's see what that looks like. So now we have this. It was set at 100 micron spot size, but under different laser conditions with different samples, it might not necessarily be 100 microns exactly. So what we can do is use the measuring tool and measure this. So it looks like it's 140 microns. Also, we see that this entire area has been damaged. So we might want to measure that too under these conditions. So it's about 500 microns, I think, would be big enough. So what you can do is you can go back to Axiom properties and you can change this to 0.5. Okay. And now you see that your target size is now roughly gets you out of the damage area. So if you were putting down a grid of spots, or if you were doing line scans, you'd want to have 0.5. But what you could do is you can put down a spot. Let's take off the measuring tool. You can put down a spot and put down another spot, and then create your grid of, let's make this one 3 by 3. And then we can make the spacing 0.5 and 0.5. And then we get a visual representation that, yes, our next location will be out of the damage region from the first location. So that is a demonstration of how to use Axiom properties to change some of the physical appearance of the spots and the target circle, and also how to use these Axiom properties in conjunction with the measuring tool to help with your pattern creation.